Hi guys, today I want to talk about the birth rate collapse all over the world, but mostly the situation is worst in East Asian countries. So let's briefly check out the numbers here. So it is the birth rate data from UN or CIA, but uh, the highest birth rate is kind of Central Africa Republic and most of them are from the African nations have a lot higher uh, birth rate than other continents. You see this blue dot shows like very high birth rate, and this yellowish color means like very lower birth rate. The China shows like 6.15, and Japan and Korea and these numbers are a little bit different from other numbers, like because it shows like uh, how many births per 1,000. So it is a little bit different from other number, but we can compare the trends here. So basically, you can see that African continents show higher birth rate than others, and as you see, the European countries or East Asian countries show relatively lower birth rate, and United States shows a moderate, and South America also shows a moderate birth rate. Okay, so this is basically the same thing, and let's check out the trends. Fertility rate by country. This is from Wikipedia, and so as you see, the Somali Niger or Afghanistan shows a really really higher birth rate. Yeah, and this number is a number that I already have seen. I mean, like this number is a lot high numbers, but yeah, I feel like this is more natural to our understanding because it means like birth rates per woman. So it is kind of more understandable. And as you see, India, Mexico, or United States, and a lot of other continents, and this, the interesting thing is like China shows very high fluctuation here, like in 1990, uh, very high peak in fertility rate, and also like it dropped. So I feel like it's related to like economic situation or government policy a lot. But this kind of like smooth trend shows like social systemical change or economic development. And also there is the lowest portion is also the South Korea takes the lowest uh, number like below one. So it means like the population will decrease soon. So you can check out like population graph by country. Korea. So this is also from a Wikipedia, and yeah, it seems a little bit complex, but I can explain it to you. So this y-axis means age from 0 to 100, and this population means like the blue color means male, and the red color means female. And there is another like a female surplus or male surplus, but we are just looking the trend, like trend by age, so we don't have to like concentrate on a surplus thing. But yeah, so this graph is for 2024. So in 2024, uh, as you see, there is a huge population in 40 to 60. It means that a lot of old people than younger people, and we can compare it by the another country like the let's check out Central African Republic. World population graph. Central where is it? Central African Republic. African Republic. Okay. There is no graph that I was looking for, but yeah, tools, advanced search. Yep. Okay, this one, what I found, this one. So as you see, this shows very higher uh, birth rate. So the younger generation, like adults, this means like, you know, it shows a very small number, but like from 0 to 100, same as this graph, from 0 to 100. So this is from 0 to 100. This is about here is 20 years old. So below here means like adolescent, and above here is adults. And also it shows that a lot of old people dies way quicker than this country. So as you see, this country shows a higher. Um, um, so the old people lives longer than this country. Okay, it could be because of some medical situation, like availability to medicine, or the doctor's office, or a hospital, and the price of going to hospital, or the economic power to pay if they got sick. And also the thing is like, it also shows that people are having a lot of higher birth rate than this country. So it is almost a crisis. So it decreases a lot faster than uh, the prior generation. This generation is like a baby boomer, like after the 1950 war, and this generation means like the sons or daughters of those baby boomers. So the baby boomers boomer, and these baby boomers boomer actually have do not have a high birth rate than the prior generation. So it shows drastically dropping. So Korea's population will be cut by half soon, and in if this trends follows. Okay, and it's really interesting that all over the country has a different birth rate and different situation, and even the GDP, or GDP per capita. I mean, like how many economic income that one person can earn. uh, Actually, like it is kind of a in reverse relation to a birth rate. So if when people get more wage, and then they tend to have less babies. And as you see, like I don't have any bias into African countries, but African countries shows like a relatively low GDP than other continents. And actually, like East Asian countries shows really, really lower birth rate than other countries, and it is also related to their some kind of cultural heritage. So they care about family, and they care about relatives a lot than others, and they compare how they lives with other neighbors. And I think it is mostly related to like why they don't want to have many babies, because you know if you have babies, and you can be bossed, or you can be proud of them. I mean like, if you can support them in a very, very luxurious goods, or you can decorate him, or you can educate him in a very expensive schools, and then it could mean that you can be a proud parents in East Asia, but I feel like in Western countries they just live their lives and they don't want to show off than East Asian countries. So it is basically a huge difference between them. Okay, and so let's check out the GDP and birth rate. Okay. AI says like this is Gemini, as you know, like there is a strong general inverse correlation between a nation's GDP per capita and its birth rate, right? And why? Higher income often leads to higher educational attainment, particularly for women, which results in delaying marriage and child childbearing. So this is one of the opinions from Reddit. So let's check it out, Reddit, and let's check out some interesting comments here. So it may be wrong. Someone told like, okay, it is due to financial reasons. Okay, as women gain more education and career opportunities, having children increasingly involves giving up alternative paths. Yeah, it could be true. It could be true. But but in my opinion, like if even if economic growth, it doesn't always mean that the women is having a occupation. In several very wealthy countries, like in a higher GDP per capita, and they if women can even if women is not working, and they still don't want to have many babies. And it is very common tendency in South Korea or Asian countries also. And even Korea or Japan shows a lower marriage rate. It can explain why people already got married don't have kids, but we cannot explain that why even they don't marry. So yeah, it is kind of partial explanation here. And as you see, like cost of children or exceptional reversal, global impact, blah blah blah. And let's check out some charts here. So it shows like GDP per capita and a total fertility rate. So as you see, like there is a reverse correlation. And actually, I feel like it is partially related to preventative method for birth. I mean, like what can I say? Like so something like a condom. And I heard that UN provided some condom to African nations, like to prevent some bad disease from the sexual relationship. Oh, actually, it is also explainable explanation that can be done in this way. Like, some countries, some governments try to lower birth rate to increase GDP per capita, and it is kind of like um, to make some um, let's check out this way. So like government mental policy to decrease birth rate. So let's check out some images here and post. There was actually some post. And okay. Uganda. Yeah. As you see, there was some government policy that tried to lower the birth rate. Um, I don't know in the other countries that kind of policy had happened, but in very popular thing is in China. The Chinese government use this policy like all families should have only one child, and if the family have more than one child, then those kids cannot be enrolled in a government book. So basically, they live as a ghost. What I mean is like they actually live as a human being, but they cannot buy house in a lawful way. So they have very tragic life, or even relate soon gonna relate it to the crime because they cannot work in a normal company as a normal worker. So the Chinese ghost people. Okay. Yeah, let's skip this out. And also the Korea also try to lower the birth rate by government, and so the governmental effort actually worked because in those area was a kind of like um, very obsessive situation, social obsession there, and also um, a lot of effort to increase the income of the GDP per capita. And so let's check it out. GDP per capita. Per capita. So as you see, it is in almost reverse situation to uh, this chart, right? This one. So basically, the African nation have a way higher birth rate, and African nation shows a way lower GDP per capita. And the per capita means like GDP means like total money that one country can make, right? And also capita means like a number of people reside in that country, right? So as you know, it is GDP divided by capita, right? So for your easy understanding, human counts, right? Human counts. So to increase this, first you can increase GDP, increase GDP. Or the second method is decrease human counts, decrease human counts. It means lower birth rate, right? Lower birth rate. So this kind of government policy are very pervasive in East Asian countries, and actually now this kind of government policy has vanished, but still uh, this kind of trend is going on and on. And actually, you can check the worst birth rate country, worst birth rate country. South Korea currently has lowest birth rate in the country. Interesting here. South Korea is the nation of a K-pop or K-drama or some dance or some very safe city and a very huge river or a nice apartment. As you know, an apartment is kind of very luxurious mansion themed in Korea, like something like this kind of concept, like and this kind of thing. And a lot of younger generation or even older generation think the apartment is the best type for a human being. And this is a little bit different. This is kind of I feel like this is a mention, but the Korean people prefer the something like this. Uh, what I mean is like they should have some balcony. Yeah, as you see, like there is some kind of like window, and inside they have some like this kind of cushion area, like from a outer window and an inner window, and this area you can put some laundry here, laundry machine, or you can dry some clothes here, or you can put some mm, your unused items here, like you can stack it here, and it's a very common thing. Like it is very convenient for cold weather, because like cold weather outside is get cushioned by this area, and also still it can increase some manage cost, because it can in this area it is easily very easily mold, or very high humidity creates these concretes and deteriorate it easily. And this kind of thing is Koreans don't prefer. Korean people really prefer the apartment with balcony, and not this is not very common house type for Korean nation. And okay, so what was this? So what I was talking about was worst birth rate country was South Korea, and South Korea people likes apartment, and apartment is really expensive compared with their income. So they should not spend any money for 30 or 40 years to buy a expensive luxurious apartment in Seoul. And actually the younger generation do not want to get married without having apartment. So it means they don't want to marry, and they don't want to have kids soon. And also their first age at the marriage is in the mid 30. It is almost impossible. Like they can only have 5 years to have babies. So within 5 years, and technically you can have only two or at most like three kids. So it is almost impossible to increase it. And also Taiwan shows a very lowest birth rate, very low birth rate. And South Korea and Taiwan is really similar in a way that cultural thing, and also Taiwan is around here and relatively very close from this, and also East Asian countries. And Taiwan shares a similar cultural heritage from China, but Taiwan has a lower birth rate than China. You know, the I feel like the land mass, like the size of the land, also um, matters in the birth rate, because you know the if one country has a bigger land, and then they can easily buy houses in a lower cost. But as you see in the South Korea or Taiwan or even Hong Kong, Hong Kong is not a country, but yeah, Hong Kong, and it means that they have a very tiny land compared to other countries. So it means like house prices must be higher than other countries. So it can lead to like lower marriage rate or lower birth rate. So basically, I think it is an unlucky situation for these countries. Like these countries have higher education and higher technology, and they can provide a higher GDP than African countries, but they cannot provide affordable and nice houses enough. Okay, and let's check out the next thing. So there is some kind of a magic number that can sustain the population number. So let's check it out that. So birth rate to sustain population. It is a 2.1, right? 2.1 children per woman. 2.1 children per woman. As you see here, 2.1 children per woman. Israel, Oman, Iraq, Gabon, Nigeria is above, but US is decreasing. But United States has some different situation because no, United States has made from a lot of different ethnic groups. So um, uh, some ethnic groups may have higher birth rate, and some ethnic groups may have lower birth rate. But for Korea or East Asian countries, they only have a one major ethnic groups, and it impacts a lot in terms of birth rate. So the magic number is 2.1, and below 2.1 means like it'll be decreased a lot. So it also shows like um, world population increase or decrease. The green area means increasing world population, and yellow area means decreasing world population. So mostly Europe or China or East Asian country shows a decreasing population, and African nation or America, even United States shows increasing or just maintaining population, right? So okay, and the next thing will be so as we can check out some economic situations. So um, you know, birth rate means having babies, and to raise a baby, we need some material. I mean, we need some resources, food, clothes, or others. So what kind of things to raise babies, to have baby? Resources. I mean, raise resources like development milestones. Okay, this one is mostly related to the education, but yeah, the household living cost. Household living cost. Mm, yeah, so we can find out this thing. How does cost of living compare by country? hmm So let's skip this out, and so let's just talk. So to raise a child, it costs a lot in developed countries. Why? Because they have to buy houses and they have to pay for educational costs, and also they should prepare mm, the future of themselves. What I mean is like in a country that has a very high death rate for older people, like this country. Yeah, like this country, there is no way that someone can live after 60. Almost all people die at around 60. So they don't have to plan for their old elderly life. So what it means, like, people can work till 60 mostly, right? So they can work and they can just retire. They don't think about retire, and just they raise kids, and then the kids can make some earnings, and then kids can give foods to older people, and that's all. That's very simple plan. But this kind of situation is a lot different, and a lot of people are living longer, right? You should even plan for at around age of 80 what you can do, what you can eat, and it is a big difference. So if you can live longer, and you should not spend a lot, because it leads to a bad situation in elderly life, right? Okay. And also, if you want to raise a kid, you should have a bigger house. You should have a bigger house. So like this fancy, bigger, nice house. So at second floor, kids are living, and in first floor, the parents are living. And if you just lived one alone, a single house, you just can live in a small house, right? Even in a trailer, you can live like this very small house. And if you only live solo, you don't have to buy a big house. And also, mm, having kids change it from a investment for their future into a luxurious lifestyle, right? If you don't raise a kid, you can buy these very expensive items, right? This kind of things. It is a lot cheaper than raising a kid, or good, or other items like these. Yeah, a lot cheaper, a lot cheaper. Okay. So some social scientist, some professor reacted in a Korean situation. Birth rate. So it is a huge social problem in Korea. So they say shocked or screwed, right? Professor John Williams, UC Law, San Francisco. So economic nonsense, or a clash of values, or something like that. But you know, this is kind of I think this is kind of a explanation, is just not a enough explanation. The most prominent thing. Oh yeah, I found out this one. This one. But this. But the current situation. I mean, what I mean is just number, and opinion can be different. But this this article must have showed that their opinion toward why the birth rate has been decreased. But what I think is the most prominent thing is having babies change it from a investment to a burden, right? That is the biggest difference. For African countries, I don't know about their cultures, but in some documentary clips, they showed like the the fathers just fully just ran away from families a lot, and like they have like very they can live in very free lifestyle, free from family burdens. So it can be a some explanation to them. Actually, in African countries, the South Africa shows a relatively lower birth rate, and it means like South Africa is economically a little bit developed than this country, so it can be some explanation here. So, um, in this situation, who will pay expenses for old generation? So it must be the younger generation who will pay for older generation. You can say some, oh, they can have some expansions or they can have, they already have some assets like houses. So it's no problem. But no, uh, you can, the younger generation should pay indirectly toward the older generation. Okay. Because the government should raise taxes to uh, to give enough expansion for older generation. So it is not a problem for only for some generation. It's a problem for whole country and a problem for our future. And and also it means like the Korean uh, because the Korea is the worst situation country in this concept. So I'm just as an example. So the Korea will population will be cut off soon. Okay, roughly within 50 to 60 years, if the current ultra low fertility rate persists, and by uh, by 2072, half of South Korea's population is projected to be 65 or older, and okay, experts forecasting a drop over 55 million to around 36 million by 2060 to 2070, and falling below 25 million by 2100. It is very important situation for Korea because Korea is surrounded by China, Japan, very powerful countries. So to defend from them or even Russia, and it is almost impossible to maintain country with this lower number, right? These professors face explains this situation. And it can be also some changing trends for developed countries. And but um, the it also means that is they are they happy? Like happiness score. Sorry, I'm just like typing as one hand, so there may be some error in typing, but happiness score by country. Image, let's check it out. Image. So it is not always directly related to the happiness with some birth rate, but let's check it out. Okay. As you see, it is not always related to happiness directly. Mm, even African countries shows less happier than others, but okay, and have a higher birth rate. And score by UN. Let's check it out. World Happiness Report, United Nations. Okay, it doesn't always mean. Actually, this revolver issues almost revolver relationship. Like so, higher. It is kind of chicken egg problem because people don't feel happy. Uh, doesn't always mean like lower birth rate. But there is in nature animal they try to control their population themselves. Control. What I mean is not by human intervention, just animal themselves can control population if they feel less safer or they feel there is not enough food and they don't breed and they don't have babies. You can easily find out this trend like if that for dogs or cats. So also we can see this kind of trend as a natural adaptation by human being and for to reach happiness. I don't know. It is as I told you before. Like it is kind of chicken egg problem. So so lower birth rate can help some people to feel happiness, or reversely, right? We can explanation in this way. Like we can do explanation, like higher birth rate made unhappy situation because the system or society cannot support like can or not ready to provide services for all the populations. So okay, and also another explanation can be done this way, like because they didn't have enough method to prevent birth, right? Because developing countries sometimes they are not educated regarding the fertility and they don't have enough knowledge, so they cannot prevent birth and they even don't care about babies and they just flee away from babies. So the action of sexual relationship and having babies are kind of unrelated situation for a prehistoric area and they didn't understand. They the 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 exact understanding of the fertility have developed even after the middle age. So before that, having babies were deemed as some kind of mythical conception, like some God gives babies for them and something like that. So sexual relationship is just uh, it is kind of a knowledge problem. So people have to be educated to understand the fertility. Uh, but also there is also another cultural thing. I know. I heard that South American countries people they never do adoption because they don't want babies being killed. I mean, what I mean is like you know in the Catholic Church, they usually talk all the babies should be born without using any method to prevent babies. So it is a huge difference. So um, we cannot explain this kind of tendency in just one single comment, but it is kind of very complex economically and socially and the cultural uh, differentiation, and also house prices and increase of GDP per capita, or a people's strategy toward how can they achieve a happier lives, or if their kids can have happier life, or you know as I told you before, like if the government regulates a lot for a family, what I mean is like um some kind of country don't regulate regarding family a lot, because um so if government regulates a lot toward the family, that means like parents should pay a lot for the family, and parents cannot flee away from a family. So it is kind of like their concept of mind, right? If there is no government intervention toward family policy, and then people will think that family thing is just their free will to choose. But you know, even when after the government intervened into family a lot, and then it feels like very mandatory thing, and it feels like burden. So um, I think that is a huge difference from a prehistoric era and middle age in a current modern situation. It changed a lot. And I personally think there is no single anecdote for this situation, and also no single solution for them. But also, what I think is it is kind of a trend. Um, as a government is the who is who exists for get a lot of tax, and it means that the future tax will decrease if population decreases. So it is a huge deal for a government. But let's think about in the concept of individual. A lot of individuals just live their lives, and they just live their lives for their happy life, and they can choose not to give birth, and it is their free will. Why not? So I think it is kind of new chosen strategy for each individual, and no blame for them, and just a government also can support for raising kids, but they cannot mandatorily you should have family, you should have kids, and it is not a good idea, and because we are not sheep or animals or cows. We are just human beings that we can choose our lives, and we can describe or we can draw what our dream is, and that is our free will currently in a modern era. So this was my vague idea regarding this, and okay, I hope it helped you understanding some current situation around this very complex birth rate thing. Okay, bye bye.